Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Carrie and I'm Blue City Pickin, and I'm a part-time reseller, and I go around to thrift stores, estate sales, yard sales, anywhere you can find things and buy stuff to try to flip for a profit on eBay, and only eBay, because I'm part-time and I know my limits. So all right, this is Ching number 45. This is for the first part of the week of June 29th, so the 29th through July 2nd. I sold 25 things. Total gross sales all in $669. The price I agreed upon with the buyer was $480.78. And I had $89.13 into these items. So I made $289.04 in 4 days, which is great for me. Super happy about that. The minimum profit I had on something was $1.99, but that was old stuff, and it is the summer sales, not my wording, but I'm living by it right now. And so I'm trying to get rid of some of my older inventory, running sales, putting on a coupon on the store sometimes, marking down things and putting them on clearance that have been around for more than a year. So $1.99 is what it is, but it's gone. And the most I made was $31.13 on an item. And that was a pretty quick flip. So if you're able to find something similar, you should pick it up. Let's see, average profit per item, $11.56. I'm okay with that right now because of the push to get rid of some of the older inventory. If I average out some of my newer stuff, I did much better profit-wise, and I learned not to pick up the other things again. I didn't have any like crazy fast sales or things that sold the same day this week, which I usually do, but I had something that sold within 5 days, and that was the highest profit item. And then I had something that took 416 days to sell. So yeah, love that journey for us. Would never pick that up again. But the average is 119, and that's pretty high for me. Like when I'm not doing the clearance outs and things like that, my usual average is about 90 days, which I consider 100% sell-through, which brings me joy. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing that sold was a lot of 16 Pokemon figures. I used the keywords cake topper, toys, figures in my listing. If you're not aware of that, when you have the little things that could go on top of a cake, that is a great keyword to use. I paid $1.06 for these at my Goodwill bins back in May. They sold for $14.40, and so I made $10.24 in 16 days. Next item is a vintage 1990s. This was a VTech talking alphabet desk. It did work. I did test it. Had $1.06 into this at the bins. It sold for $13.60, and so I made $9.73 after 24 days. Next is a Webkinz. This was a golden retriever. It did not have its tag, and when I picked it up, I did not realize it was a Webkinz, so I would not pick up Webkinz that don't have their tags still sealed. Cannot recommend that unless I think if it's like the Webkinz Signature Series, sometimes those can go sell better, but keep me honest in the comments about Webkinz with tags. Only the regulars, Signature Series, okay without tags. I paid $1.03 for this at a local thrift store back in December. So when I got an offer for $5.10, I said, okie dokie. Sent that off and made $2.28 after 175 days. Next is another plush. This is the 416-day item. This was a vintage Cheer Bear Care Bear from 2002. It was a smaller one. It was only 8 inches. I had $1.88 into this at an estate sale from March of 2024, y'all. It sold for $6.56, and so I made $2.59 after 416 days. But you bet your bottom dollar it's gone, so I'm happy. Next is, I made a mistake on this one, but you'll see in a minute, or I'll tell you about it in a minute. This was a huge lot of Lego Duplo, not a lot of like the specialty pieces or anything like that. These were just like the base bricks, so I wasn't expecting to get a ton. I had bought these at a thrift store back in January where the other pieces that were in the bag with it were worth a ton of money. So I bought it and it had like trains and ice cream shop and some other stuff in there that made it worth the buy. This was just kind of what was left. It sold for $25. I had $3 into it, and so I made $9.21. You want to know why I made $9.21? Because I forgot part of it and I had to ship out some more pieces. So I'm happy I still made some money, but I would have made more, but I ended up having to ship out some other pieces that I had forgotten to include in the original box when I shipped it. So go me. 93 days to sell. We all make mistakes, y'all. That's the first one I've made in a while, but just they do happen and it's okay. It's all about customer service. For me, like my big thing is keeping my top rated plus thing, and this was my mistake. So the next day I got it shipped out and they should be getting the replacement pieces very, very soon. Next up is another toy. You're gonna hear a lot of toys this week. Like my sales this week were way heavily weighted to toys. Like usually about half of my sales or profit comes from clothing. This week it was half from toys, which never happens. But anyway, this was a 2018 Pusheen Seal Plush. He still had his tag. I did pay $3.99 for him at a regular Goodwill in May of 2024. I sent an offer for $18.57 and it sold. So I made $12.41 after 407 days. The buyer messaged me right after I had accepted or sent the offer, and they're like, thank you so much. This is so cute. They were pretty excited. So that always brings me joy. Next up is the lowest profit of the week. And this is a lot of two Pump Kids 1991 Halloween pumpkin leaf bags. I bought, I think, 6 of them at the same time. I paid $2.10 back in September of last year, hoping they would sell before Halloween of last year. They did not. None of them did. So I got an offer for $6. I said, okie dokie, bye-bye. And I made $1.99 after 284 days. I was hoping that would like help with the algorithm and make the other ones sell, but it didn't happen. Bummer. Next is a pair of apple bottom jeans. I hope they wear them with boots with the fur. And if you don't know that song, I can't help you. This was a size 16. These were not like the older ones that had the actual apples on the bottom. If you find those are worth some more money. These were worth just bread and butter. I had $1.06 into these at the bins from back in May. They sold for $19.55, and so I made $15.29 after 54 days. Next up is part of my vintage Fisher Price problem. If I see it, I must pick it up, and it's a problem. So this was a crazy combo horn set. It had the case, but it was not complete. It was missing a few pieces. I paid $1.06 for this at the bins. It sold for $10.20, so I made $6.19, and I rescued it from the landfill, and I love listing toys. So there you go. Next is another toy. This is an American Girl Bitty Baby doll. I picked her up at the bins for $1.06. She sold for $16, and so I made $12.14 after 42 days. Regular Goodwill pickup. This was a Trend Masters Mickey Mouse foam pumpkin light up. He was from 1995. And I was so excited. He does work. I paid $2.32 for him at a local Goodwill. He sold for $19. And so I made $13.09 after 113 days. He was so cute, but I was glad he went off to a new home. Next is a set of Nerf footballs. These was a new box of Nerf foam footballs. I paid $4.31 for this at Goodwill back in February. It sold for $14.54, and so I made $6.30 after 121 days. I wouldn't pick that up again. I would pick the Mickey up again because I also love Disney. See, I love it. Next is a stained glass or painted glass sun catcher. Paid $1 for this at the Goodwill. I had to save it. I didn't have to save it, but I did save it. Somebody offered me $5, and because of the summer sales, I said sure. And I made $2.67 after 46 days. Next up was a fun find that I like to pick up these kinds of things, but I don't find them super often. This was actually a green wingback chair, and it was dollhouse furniture, and it had like a satiny sheen to it. It was so cute. I have $1 into it. It sold for $14, and so I made $10.08 in just 2 weeks. I also picked up a pair of like little blue ladder back chairs that I'm waiting to sell. But if you see dollhouse furniture, it does sell. You're not going to make a ton of money off of it, but if you find something unique and different, snag it. And if you don't mind listing like the tedious little stuff, which obviously I don't. Next up is a Disney Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree cassette and read-along book. It was new sealed. I had $1 into this from the bins. It sold for $19, and so I made $13.66 after just 55 days. I found Winnie the Pooh, Pocahontas, the Grinch, and I think a couple of Aladdins that day. I think I still have both of the Aladdins left, but the other 3 have sold, which is great. Vintage Fisher Price. This was the Western Town. It had figures, it had some wagons, it had some horses. I picked this up at a Fisher Price buyout that I did with somebody local who was somebody who had used to have an antique booth and was cleaning out her storage unit. And I bought an entire car full of vintage Fisher Price. I don't even have all of it listed yet because I'm not a good reseller. I have $10 into this particular set. It sold for $44.10, and so I made $22.92 after 20 days. Next up is a Star Trek The Next Generation USS Enterprise plastic model set. You may have seen this in a haul that I did recently where everything at my Goodwill was 50% off. That's this one and the next item, which were 2 of my better profits this week. I paid $3.50 for this. It sold for $35.10 because I think I had a 15% off sale going. No, that's not very smart. I had a 10% off coupon on the store these few days, or a couple of these days in there, like July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd maybe. And so they got it for $35.10, and so I made $26.32 in just 9 days. Next is my best sale of the week. This is a Last U.S. Bag Company caddy. It went on the back of a seat in a car, and it had a ton of little pockets and things. I paid $4.50 for this at a local Goodwill. The retail on this sucker was like $140 or something like that. But when I looked at actual solds of this particular brand, there wasn't a ton to go on. So I listed it at $49. I got an offer for $40, and I was like, okay, you have $4.50 into this summer sales. Say bye-bye. And so I said bye, and I made $31.13 in just 5 days. Next is another bins pickup. This one was great. This is a 2006 SpongeBob handheld game. We tested it. It did work. It has 5 little games in it. I paid 76 cents for this at the bins. It sold for $17.10, and so I made $13.62 after 79 days. I recommend, if you don't, keep some batteries in your bag when you go to the bins. I also have little bitty screwdrivers that I usually keep with me as well, so that I can open up battery compartments and see if there's corrosion in there. But yeah, it looked to be in good condition. I didn't actually test it there. Like, that's my suggestion, to have batteries, but that particular day I did not. But it looked to be in good shape, so I snagged it and it worked. For 76 cents, it was worth the risk. All right, next up goes to a repeat buyer. So Laura, I don't know if you watched the channel. I'm like now questioning if that was your name, and I messed up because I'm a failure. If you are a repeat buyer and you watch the channel, thank you so much for coming back to the store and shopping again. This was a Coach wristlet. I did pay $5.39 for this at a local Goodwill last July. It sold for $14, and so I made $6.16 after 332 days. Thank you so much for your purchase. Next up is a pair of Solomon boots. These are men's boots, hiking, Gore-Tex. Not a great size though. So all the key factors going for it except for size. They were a size 7. So I paid, let's see, $12.99 for these at a local Goodwill last October. Got an offer for $30. Summer sale says buy, and I made $13.42 after 249 days. Plus they take up a lot of space because they're really big. Next up is another pair of shoes. This is a pair of Kizik's. If you don't know that brand, you should check it out. They are definitely a brand that is getting attention. I have not checked lately on sell-through rates. This particular pair was gray slip-on sneakers. They were a size 13, which I thought was going to make them more appealing. I was wrong. So I bought them for $10.36. They sold for $28.80, and so I made $12.12 after 140 days, but they were also very large and gone, so I was super happy about that. Next up is something that I saved from a yard sale back in March. This was a vintage felt tree skirt. It had Santas and elves, but it was unfinished, and there was definitely some damage to it, but I still picked it up. I did pick it up. I think I had $2 into it. Somebody wanted it, and so they sent me an offer for $15. They said it's gonna take a lot of work. I'm like, yes, I know, and I said goodbye. So I made $8.53 in 90 days. Next up is one of my most disappointing sales of the week. This was vintage Pyrex dishes. There were 3 of them. They were the woodland print. They were in excellent condition. I did pay $11.45 for these at Goodwill back in January. I thought they were going to sell way quicker than they did. I need to do some more research, I guess, on Pyrex to make sure that I'm picking up the right things, the right patterns, etc. But they sold for $33.06, and so I made $14.01 after 152 days. Fortunately, I did get a question in one of my videos, like, how do you keep your packaging and shipping costs down? The actual shipping cost is what it is, right? But as far as packaging, I have friends and family that save boxes for me. They keep the paper, they keep bubble mailers, and I use those. We get stuff shipped to our house that we keep. I do buy my bubble wrap in bulk from American Bubble Boy. I have packing paper, and I ship most of my stuff in poly mailers. Poly mailers are very, very inexpensive. So if you can ship it in a poly mailer and it's not going to get damaged, I would do that. And then the other thing I was going to say is, I don't know if this is only if you have a store on eBay, but if you have a store on eBay, you can add a handling fee to your shipping. So I pass my savings, my shipping discount, on to my customers. I think that's important to being competitive. It is. But as part of that, I do charge 35 cents per transaction. So if you buy something from me, you're getting your shipping discount, but I'm also charging you 35 cents. And that really helps me recoup the cost of the extra shipping things that I need to do. So if you were curious how I manage my shipping costs and things like that, or like the packaging costs, it's through that handling fee and then recycling and reusing as much as I possibly can. I mean, I'm not above sending something out in a diaper box if I need to. Now, is that the most professional thing to do? Probably not, but I think most folks understand and aren't going to judge you too harshly for it. So I haven't gotten any complaints yet. Most of my things come back say, oh, it shipped fast and it was great packaging. So I'll take that. Last but not least for this week is another bins pickup. This was a Baby Gund girl's pink teddy bear plush. It had soothing sounds, and it did work. I had $1.13 into this at the bins. It sold for $17.10 after 20 days. So all in all, very, very pleased with the sales this week. That being said, 21 of my sales were for bread and butter. So that's below $15 in profit, and then 4 of them were above, but I still managed to get an average of $11.56. So I'm pretty pleased with that over the 25 items that I sold. As far as where things came from, you heard the bins a whole heck of a lot, because over the last few months, that is where my primary sourcing has come from. Just because I can get a concentrated amount in just a few hours at the bins. And I have struggled recently with being able to get inventory at yard sales and even estate sales in some cases. I just haven't been getting what I would like to be able to keep up my listing. And my goals every week is to list 35 items and to sell 35 items. So I'm exceeding my sales goals and I'm intaking less, which is good because I'm trying to get my total number of my items in my store down. I think I'm at right around 1,300 to 1,400 right now. Ideal for me is right around 1,000-ish items, hence why I'm trying to clearance out some of the old stuff. I unlisted some stuff and just got rid of it if it was super low dollar and I didn't think I would be able to get any money out of it. So it's a constant battle to try to keep your inventory fresh and your storefront fresh to where you're making money. But yeah, 84% came from Goodwill. So 243 of my $289 in profit came from Goodwill. 11% from yard sales, and then 4% from other. I had 54% of my profits came from toys this particular week, these 4 days. I think this is just 4 days. 29% from household goods and about 16% from clothing, which includes shoes and accessories. And usually clothing, shoes, accessories, that's about 50% of my profits on a normal week. So interesting to see the shift on these 4 days over to toys. I am going to be putting out another What Sold video this week for July 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Spoiler alert, the sales have continued to come forward. Let me see. I'm going to be a bad reseller and bad YouTuber and not... Well, I thought I had it pulled up, but I'm pretty sure I've sold another 20-ish items those days. I have I think a 10% off sale on my store right now. So if you're seeing this after the sale's over, but come check out the store anyway, bluescitypickin on eBay. I am marching towards 1,000 subscribers, and I'm very excited with the progress that I've made over the last few weeks. Thinking about doing a giveaway with that. So subscribe, like the video, comment down below what would you like to see in a giveaway if I was able to do one, or I plan on doing one. Let's see what we can do as far as a giveaway. Maybe I could like show y'all my inventory and you pick something out of the store that's under a certain amount and that you could get that. I'm okay with that. Alrighty. Well, I hope you had a wonderful 4th of July if you are here in the United States and you celebrate. And if not, I just hope that everything is going well for you, and we will see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye.